Wanted to make a video explaining my situation with vertigo as well as loss of balance and the symptoms I have and how it really affects me. I've mentioned these symptoms in the past, but haven't really gotten in depth in it. If you've been following along, as you can tell, we're really kind of the way we're going about this journey is kind of is a blend between throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what works, and the other part of it is seeing what actually has some positive effect, right? So one of the things that we've been seeing more recently is sleep quality. So I'm going more into that and trying to improve that more, right? Because the vast majority of the list of symptoms, we can't really get it to budge yet. So having that said, since sleep quality is one that's getting a little bit improved, and the same doctor believes that I can, we can do certain things to make a dent, positive impact for my vertigo and loss of balance. This is what we're going to be doing. Well, first I'll kind of explain how my vertigo works, because I've been reading online about this, and it seems like different people have different ways to have different intensities, different things trigger it, all kinds of stuff. So in brief, my one goes like this. Vertigo. Let's talk about vertigo first. For me, vertigo is a spinning sensation, right? It's not a sensation actually even. It is spinning, meaning my view from where I would be sitting, it's about a 45 degrees spin. So the room would spin until about 45 degrees here, and it would come back. So it'd be doing back and forth and spinning. So whenever I get a vertigo attack, it's extremely nauseating, and generally what we do is whoever's closest to me would come and take me through these exercises at home. Let's say it's basically I close my eyes, I would lay down, they'll bring the mat, and then I would do these rolls and tucks. Roll and turn, and then keep my head a certain way to get the ENT, the you could say the balls in the ear that deals with balance, to get it to realign. Now, I'll make a video in the future to demonstrate how I do this exercise. It's just that every time I think about or try to make that video, I keep on getting scared that me trying to demonstrate how what I do when I get an attack, I'm going to actually trigger an attack. But anyways, so that's my vertigo attack. Now, this is something that's relatively new in my list of symptoms. This has started to really come on. I've been having vertigo attacks every couple of months. It used to be, every 3 or 4 months something would happen that would trigger a vertigo attack, like in 2020 early. But towards the end of 2020, that's when it got a lot more crazy, where I was having them 3 to 4 times a week. And each time it takes some time to really shake it off, meaning I go through the exercise, then I have to sit still and close my eyes, generally from 1 to 3 hours for it to calm down. So that's basically the closest I can explain vertigo. And if you're watching, if you have it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you don't really have it, you can just kind of Google what it looks like. But that's one of the things that is directly with related to however the brain is firing when I turn my head in a certain way quickly. One of the times it actually happened because I believe it was I got pointed out to see something, like it was across the street, and I turned my head quickly, and that triggered the attack. So just to give you an example, that happens. And then the most common ones is when I wake up, that I feel like it's the most tendency for vertigo attack to happen. And the last thing I'll say about vertigo is what I realize triggers it the most, or makes it a lot more worse, is the type of salt I'm eating. So normally I eat only Himalayan pink salt, and I've seen for some of the times when I ate any other kind of salt, really like white salt or something like that, within an hour or so, I already feel that I'm on the verge of getting an attack, because everything becomes very stiff and intense, and it's really hard to explain the feeling, but it's basically where I know that I have to be very careful how I turn my head, and how I keep it, how I bend, etc., like that. So that's one thing we really make sure that I don't need any kind of salt. But not only that, also the amount of salt. So some of the times I used to put a little bit extra salt in my salmon to make it a bit more tasty. But then again, it would have a huge amount of stress in terms of the vertigo aspect, and I kind of just like cut down on the amount of salt I put until really at this point the amount of salt I put is just enough so it doesn't taste raw. Like my salmon nowadays, you can't really taste the salt as much anymore. It just feels like it's just edible, right? Like there's not like you can't really taste it that much. I put very little, and I completely stopped putting any kind of salt on the potatoes and whatnot. So just keeping that to a minimal uptake. So that's vertigo. Now the transitioning over to explaining my loss of balance, and they kind of go hand in hand, meaning during times when I have I feel like I'm gonna have a worse vertigo. It's usually during a time when I have a bit more loss of balance. So the best way I can explain loss of balance is basically for me the way it is that when I stand up a lot of times, it's like my body does not know whether I'm standing straight, right? Basically, like that's the easiest way I can explain it, right? Like it's like imagine how it would be if your body couldn't tell and fix right away with your whole change in direction, right? So especially when I wake up in the morning, this is by far the worst. And in the mornings, it almost sometimes feels like it's dangerous because I feel like I can, when I'm going to the bathroom or something, I can like slip and fall or something like that, or just like kind of fall because I can't really tell. And basically it's from the time I wake up and I stand up, my head feels like it's kind of detached from the body, so I don't have any balance. So I have to like just kind of keep in mind to go with it very slow and make it to the bathroom by keeping my feet stance pretty wide and taking a step at a time. That way I'm just focused on my feet stance and knowing like information wise that hey, I'm standing with my feet wide stance, I shouldn't fall, and I can just make it in that way compared to just normally you just kind of like look at the floor and understand where you are, right? So that's the easiest way I can explain loss of balance. This is probably one of the newest things that happened. Really, it started like really in the end of the last year, like November, December, maybe even a little bit more in the January or so, where it started to kick in. So it's one of the more very new effects that I've been having, and so having those two things said, loss of balance and then having vertigo attacks, the common thing between those is that they both affect my confidence in being able to stand and walk, especially in the mornings, and again, I'll make another video sometime showcasing exactly what are the things I do to make sure that like I'm not at risk in the mornings, like in the bathroom, how I basically make sure that that like if I'm brushing my teeth, that's when it gets really dangerous, because that's where I'm shaking my head literally. So I have to remember to basically like kind of just like move my hands and not as much my head while I'm brushing my teeth and stuff like that. So I'll make a video about this for anybody it could be helpful. But really this video was to kind of explain my experience and situation, how I've been dealing with it. And there's all these little things that I do on a day-to-day basis, especially from the moment I wake up, like taking rest and getting vertigo slowly against the back of the wall of the bed until I feel like more comfortable, then getting out and things like that, which I can demonstrate in a future video. But basically this kind of like sums up my whole thing with vertigo and loss of balance. To end this video, basically I just wanted to say that what we're going to be doing is a few types of exercises, and we've already started doing some of these, but I'm going to get a bit more heavy into these coming weeks or so, where we're going to do certain things that stimulate the part of the brain that has to do with when I'm looking at a certain object in front of me, and then having also challenging my coordination with my hands, and basically interacting with those objects at the same time when I also see it. So I'll make some videos on how that looks like and what the exercises look like, so it can actually directly help anybody who's in this situation. But having that said, I just wanted to give kind of an overall summary of what the vertigo and loss of balance actually feels like, and for me specifically, so that it can kind of define it, because sometimes it just seems like a sort of a broad definition, where certain people, they just call loss of balance as vertigo, or they call like full spinning, where I feel like some people say it's just like completely spinning all 360, whereas for me it's just like halfway spinning and just coming back and back. So I just wanted to kind of define that fully. All right, so that's it for this video, and stay tuned for future ones, where I kind of showcase how I prevent any kind of dangers throughout the day to day, as well as kind of showcase the exact exercises we'll be doing that the doctor believes will be helping in relieving this symptom.